The K-9 we reported on just a few days ago, who unlawfully was told to attack an unarmed individual. Well, we have an update. Let me remind you of the video. Here it is.
Come to me. You don't want bit. On the ground, you're gonna get bit. Come to me, man.
Do not let them, don't release the dog. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Do not release the dog with his hands up. Don't. Do not. Get the dog off of him. Get the dog off of him.
Get the dog. Get out the dog. What's the cab? What's the cab? Get the cab.
Get the dog off.
Get your dog. Get it out. Get it out. Please.
Hands are clearing the vehicle now.
Put your hand back. Give me your hand.
Put up the picture. An investigation has now been launched into why a Circleville, Ohio police K-9 was deployed to attack a semi-truck driver, 23-year-old Jadarius Rose, who was complying with orders. He was on his knees with his hands in the air. You do not have a more defenseless pose than that. A police trooper can be heard in the video repeatedly yelling, "Do not release the dog with his hands up." The dog, however, was let loose and attacked Mr. Rose, grabbing his arm as he screamed, "Get it off." Officers rushed to pull the dog off of Mr. Rose. I want to say this about the troopers. There are two jurisdictions involved. The troopers are the ones saying, "Don't release the dog with his hands up." Okay? These other guys are coming because initially there was a call for backup, but they canceled that call. They no longer needed any backup whatsoever. The man was out of the truck. The man was complying. The man was being lawful. No need. They pull up any damn way. Not only do they pull up, they get out of their vehicles. They bring the K-9. And the officer who had command, meaning the man yelling, "Don't release the dog with his hands up." The man who had command was directly disobeyed by the other cop. Put it up, full mass. The Circleville PD said the city's use of force review board is now conducting an investigation. The highway police had initially identified the K-9 officer as Circleville Officer R. Speakman. Circleville officers or officials would not say if Speakman has or will be placed on leave during the investigation. Body cam of Rose's arrest was not released to the public until Friday, July 21st. But the footage had been obtained by local outlet, the Valley Guardian, prior, and showed the K-9 initially being held back by Speakman. All right, let's put up the screenshot. Troopers were still yelling, "Get on the ground or you're going to get bit." All right. This July 4th encounter unfolded after Rose allegedly led officers from several law enforcement agencies on a highway chase. It remained unclear Sunday why Rose did not immediately pull over when troopers initially ordered him to. Let me give you background on the incident report. The incident began at about 9:30 a.m. according to the report on July 4th as troopers from the State Highway Police Department's Motor Carrier Enforcement Inspector Unit attempted to pull Rose over on westbound US Route 35 for what they described as an alleged traffic defect violation. Rose's vehicle was missing a mud flap. That's what that was, according to an initial incident report released by the State Highway Police. Rose allegedly refused to pull over and led troopers on a chase through 2 counties. I activated my marked patrol vehicle light, bar, and siren, but the suspect failed to stop. I drove in the left lane and along the left side of the vehicle in an attempt to get the driver's attention. The driver would not make eye contact and did not acknowledge me, the trooper wrote in the report. As the chase shifted onto US Route 23, the big rig forced a trooper to swerve off the right side of the road to avoid contact, according to the report. Troopers placed stop sticks or spike strips on the roadway ahead of the chase and blew out the tires, forcing him to pull over on Route 23 in Pickaway County and surrender. Let me give you the arrest details. Rose was taken into custody and troopers immediately performed first aid on him. They waited for paramedics to arrive, according to the statement. Rose was treated at a hospital and released into custody of the State Highway Police. He was booked at the Ross County Jail on charges of failure to comply, a 4th-degree felony, according to online records. Rose has been released from the county jail. It is unclear if he has hired an attorney. Now, it really doesn't matter what the allegation is against Mr. Rose. It doesn't matter. At the time of the deployed K-9, Mr. Rose was compliant, okay? Now, let's go to what he was actually charged with. He was charged with not complying to the traffic stop. He wasn't charged with having drugs inside of his vehicle. He wasn't charged because he had a felony warrant out his arrest or he had a gun and he was threatening to kill somebody. Once again, doesn't matter at the time of the attack, but to give you just insight into the full scenario, we don't know why Mr. Rose did not pull over. We do know he's innocent until proven guilty, and we also know that he did not deserve to be attacked by a K-9 after it was clear to every officer involved, you do not deploy a K-9 with hands up. And here's another dynamic. The person handling the K-9, guess what they must receive before being able to handle a police K-9? Training. They have to receive specialized K-9 training, which means as the officer in command is yelling, don't deploy the dog with his hands up. The man who had control of the K-9 was more than aware of what the rules were. All right, Sharon, thoughts?
It's appalling. And I do want to talk about him fleeing police because number one, I used to have this big boxy truck, Dr. Richey, and I would bump Tupac and Biggie. I could hear no one else but the greatest to ever do it. And I couldn't see anybody else. I was lost in the music. So I don't know if he saw him or not. But if he did, why wouldn't he flee? He had troopers in Ohio and an innocent dog after him. And you see what happened. I'm surprised they didn't use more force. Where were the hoses? Can we use creative license and get that footage in black and white? Because it looks definitely like a throwback. Do your job. The statute doesn't say unleash the dogs, maul this man, arrest him and move on.
You make a really, really interesting point because I've been in similar situations where I'm driving a large vehicle, I'm listening to music, and I don't notice some things happening around my car. It could be just that simple. He was listening to music. He did not know that anyone was chasing him. And then, because it never went to a high-speed chase. It never moved into a place of being a high-speed chase. Now, what if he does recognize it at a point and realizes, well, damn, he got 20 cops following him. He has no idea why. And all of a sudden he's in panic mode. See, these are perfectly understandable dynamics that could have happened. We do know that he had no reason to run from law enforcement based on their own report. There was nothing illegal in that car. There was nothing illegal about him. It was simply him not pulling over in time. All right, we will follow this story and update it as it develops.